All right. Both streams should be up and running here shortly. We got about 4 minutes until the market close. We're going to be going over the market, look at today's price action, and talk about the shakeout rule. Well, really, there's kind of two parts to the rule, so you could call it the shakeout rules. Okay? All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Good afternoon. This is Yvonne from the Strategic Day Trader, and this is your market wrap for March 10th, 2021. Q's down 0.24 and SPY up 0.61, so a little bit of relative strength there on the SPY, as has been the case all throughout this pullback that we got here in the market. You can see the level of retracement there on the Q is much deeper than the SPY. Okay, going into tomorrow, we did break that hourly downtrend here. So, and we did clear yesterday's high, but then didn't get follow through. Kind of gapped up and got sold. So this kind of goes back to the shakeout rule that we'll talk about today. And then the SPY, kind of same thing, took it out, hasn't really followed through, but looking a little bit more bullish. So the plan was we take out the top there. We're going to be bullish. That is going to be the plan going into tomorrow. That is going to be the bias. Bullish on the Qs and SPY. It'll be tough if we get a gap down because the expectation will be higher low. You can see the 20 MA here starting to curl up on the Qs and SPY. Just want to be on the lookout for the potential of it kind of peaking above and then not getting follow through, right? So that's kind of the concern there that we did. So what would have been more bullish, of course, is if we broke above and then stayed bullish or actually followed through higher. Now, if we had followed through higher, depending on how extended we got, we would have to look at maybe a potential pullback at the open tomorrow. But given what we got today, we did gap up and then pull back. SPY kind of gapped up and then stayed at the top. All right, still going to be bullish on the Qs and SPY going into tomorrow. Okay, so kind of bullish in the morning. Haven't really gone anywhere. Still going to be bullish going into tomorrow. So that ends the bearish bias that we had for a few days there as the hourly was in that downtrend. Was using that pivot kind of as our point to no longer be bearish, and then we got that gap up and took it out. All right, so going into tomorrow, bullish on the Qs and SPY. All right, let's talk about the shakeout rule. Okay, I've talked about this before, but it was relevant today, specifically on this BEN. And sometimes, you know, when these shakeouts happen, kind of being ready to get back in is not that natural. You kind of have to get used to it, get used to the kind of that mindset, because right after something shakes you out, you're not necessarily feeling like, oh, it's time to get right back in or try it again. Okay, so we'll talk about this BEN. So I did give an idea on the BEN today. We're showing a lot of strength this morning, staying bullish here. And then the daily, bullish as well. Okay, so we'd already cleared a lot of this resistance, right? And looking to take out more resistance there and take out the top. So that was holding out up pretty well there. So on this BEN, we had a decent looking here 2-minute base. 5-minute was okay as well. 5-minute was kind of waiting for more bars on this. 2-minute, there's the base, basing above the 20 MA, and here's the 5. Okay, 5, 3 bars. That's the minimum, right? We prefer more than 5, but 3 is the minimum there. All right, so here's that kind of 2-minute base, and then we break out. Stop was going underneath the base. Okay, started off okay, and then you can see we got a little bit of a drop right there. Okay, so there's the drop. That's the bar that takes out the stop. Okay, so based on the play, based on the numbers for this play, got out. Okay, now notice what happened here. I'll go ahead and remove this just because you already know which bar we're looking at. What happened here? Inside bar, and then right back up. So there's two things you can do here when you suspect that maybe it's a shakeout. Okay, if you get an inside bar right here, there's no follow through to this. If it takes out the inside bar, so over 2804, you get back in. Okay, and then stop is now the bottom of the shakeout. Okay, so that's the first option. Or wait for the next entry. Okay, if it gives another setup. Okay, so you can see right there, takes you out, no follow through. Okay, I don't know if there's, you know, an example here, maybe in the morning, where it kind of, yeah, let's say you were like inside of this base here, takes you out and then continues to go. Then, you know, this would no longer be valid here, right? Let's say if you got out on this bottoming tail, puts an inside bar, but then kind of starts to follow through lower. So then you know, okay, maybe it's for real, okay, and I'm out of it, that's fine, okay? Which that, I guess, was able to recover. The next entry, if you're looking for a second entry, then you get a little bit of a breakout here, which puts all of these together. Not that nice of a setup, which is why I don't like this one as much in this instance. It worked fine, but I thought this was like a pretty sloppy base. And so, you know, you were with me on the mic when this happened, and I was a little bit late in saying, oh, this should be replayed as a shakeout. Because like I said, it's not that natural. The play doesn't work. Usually my thought process is, all right, that didn't work. What else do we have setting up? Let's go for something else. Usually, you know, that's the approach. But sometimes you just got to kind of remind yourself, get in the habit of, especially if this is more the case. I don't think it's been especially a problem lately, but it was definitely something. I think it was already at like 28.15 when I, you know, was saying, oh, you know, mistake here not to have done the replay. You get a much tighter stop, and then, you know, then you get to be in for this nice big move here. Okay, I mean, the same thing here. Notice how it takes out this base here, right? Takes out this base, kind of immediately reverses. You know, again, that's like something that's telling you, okay, maybe we're looking at a shakeout. Okay. All right, or like I said, you can wait for the next setup. In this case, it didn't really give you all that nice of a secondary entry there, a second setup to put all this together, and that's going to happen sometimes as well. Okay, so I think there's a couple things to look at here in this instance. You know, whenever a play doesn't follow through or you take a loss on a play, as I did on this bin, what could we have done differently? I don't think it would have been the right thing to use all of this and put the stop all the way down here. Now that would have worked, but then you're looking at like a 40-cent stop. That's a pretty big stop for this, I think. So yeah, and then you're also kind of playing this, you know, as a kind of multiple bar run up as opposed to a tight base. I mean, still the same chart, but it's a little bit different. I think with the tighter stop, you don't need as much and to have a nice big play there. Okay, so just something to, as a reminder, you know, probably a reminder for myself as much as it is for you, because I just a couple minutes late on coming back to this and looking at it and realizing probably a shakeout needs to be replayed. A lot of relative strength there. I think the market timing was pretty good too, right there around 11:30 on the Qs. I think had just kind of retested the lows, I believe, and had just gotten this drop and then kind of retested the lows right in here. So you can see this is what the market looked like. And then the bin, right, basing up more towards the top. So that's why I like the relative strength. And so even though the market never really, at least the Qs, here's the SPY. SPY, yeah, a little bit more bullish. But again, you can see here, 11:30, you know, a lot weaker looking than the bin. Bin relative strength. And so, you know, if the SPY gave a little bit of fall through the upside, bin was going to give even more. Right. All right. So hopefully that's something that next time that comes up, you'll be on the lookout for it. All right. And that'll do it for today's market wrap. We'll be back at it tomorrow, and I will talk to you then. Have a good rest of the day.